So you have an ogre problem, do you? But I may not be Puss in Boots. But I can solve it! Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Hello, Summer! Coming at you live with a video, and if you pay attention to that little intro, yes, I'm talking about fighting ogres. And I couldn't help but make that Shrek the Third reference. Or is that Shrek? That's Shrek 2. Yeah, Shrek the Third is when he fights Prince Charming again. Sorry. Got off on a little tangent there. But, what's important is, today we're going to be talking about killing an ogre. And yeah, I know what you're imagining, the image of Shrek. Get the whole Shrek image out of your mind and get the image of this big-ass honking mother effer coming at you. Alright? We're going to be discussing armors, weapons, and battle tactics. So, pull up a chair, grab a Pepsi, get some Doritos, and pull out a copy of Sun Tzu's Art of War, because we're gonna go, to coin an anime YouTuber that I like to watch, we're gonna go balls deep into this shit. So get your Fiona finishes out of the way. Last Shrek joke. Maybe. Okay, time for seriousness. I try to make my videos a little comical. But in any case, how I see fighting an ogre. Okay, first of all, we need to decide what kind of ogre we're going to go up against. We're going to go swamp ogre or forest ogre. And there is a difference, okay? Swamp ogres live in the swamps, which immediately make going after them more dangerous because not only do you have to contend with the ogre, you also have to contend with the fact that you have quicksand, poisonous snakes, poisonous plants. Basically, everything's poisonous. And in the forest, where you have cliffs, rocks, trees, shrubs, poisonous snakes, insects, still poisonous shit there, but not as much. Okay, so to make matters simple, we're going to go up against our boy, the forest ogre, okay? So we're going to fight a forest ogre. Now, there's no difference in size. So both of these things are like 20 feet tall. They're huge. They're muscular. It's like, you don't F with these things, okay? Normally. Now, let's say you and I were an adventurer, like in D&D. Like, this is our quest, to slay an ogre. Okay, so what weapons would we take, and what armors would we use? Now, I don't know what weapons and armor are available in Dungeons & Dragons, because I've never played it. I want to play it, but I haven't. I don't have anyone to play it with, and I don't have the board game. So with that in mind, I'm going to be using actual historical armors and weapons and hope I'm accurate to some extent for D&D lore. It's like if you're a D&D dude, D&D dude. High School DxD? Never mind. But if you're a D&D player, don't hate me on this. It's like, forgive my ignorance or whatever. Okay, so with that in mind, what weapons would we use to kill an ogre? Alright? First off, we need to figure out our armors and our weapons. Now, we already know we're going to fight the forest ogre. So when it comes to armaments, what would I choose? Now, generally speaking, in medieval times, you had about 3 choices for armor. Gambeson, chainmail, or full plate. And I'm going to be making these choices based on later medieval times, near the end of the medieval era, early Renaissance. So that's when full plate started to come more into fashion and used because it was becoming cheaper to make. In any case, and what I mean by full plate armor is if you've ever seen pictures of knights on horseback, they have that full plate of metal armor all around them. That's what I'm talking about by full plate armor. Now, continuing with that in mind, what would I choose for my armaments? Well, if I'm going up against an ogre, I'm going to want as much protection as I can. And let's say I'm a seasoned adventurer with with my own armory, and I know what armors and weapons to take with me. So, first off, for my base armor, the armor that's going to be closest to my body, I would naturally pick Gambeson. Reason being, Gambeson is thick, it's a good suit of armor, and it's hard to penetrate. Now, if you want to know what a Gambeson is basically like a winter coat. Imagine yourself wearing a winter coat made of layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of cloth. That could either be cotton, linen, and in some cases, maybe even leather. But it's about maybe a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch thick of cloth material. I would wear that as my base armor. And the reason being, and I'll begin to why I'm meaning base armor. My secondary layer of armor, I'd be rocking full chainmail. And we all seen chainmail before. I'm not talking about that cheap cosplay shit that's just slipped together and butted links of metal. I'm talking fitted, riveted chainmail. The chainmail that's hard to even get a hypodermic needle in all the way, let alone a sword thrust. They wore these armors for a reason, people. Okay? Medieval armor is not just a big-ass clunky trash can that you're wearing. You can be very nimble, very quick. You can jump on and off of shit. You can even run up and do that whole cowboy stuff where they put their hands on the horse's ass and then push themselves up into the saddle. You can even do that in full plate armor. Now, continuing with that, why I would choose chainmail is because it's very hard to pierce with thrusts. And it would protect my armpits and my inner elbow joints and my inner joints. Now, why would I want protection on my inner joints specifically? I'll get to that in a moment when I'm finished. The next thing I would do for my final piece of armaments is I would wear a suit of full plate metal armor. And why would you do this? You're probably thinking at home, oh man, he gonna have a suit of 200 pounds. He gonna carry around 200 extra pounds of shit on his body. Wrong. Gambeson, about 5 pounds. Chainmail, relatively 15 pounds. Suit of armor, anywhere between 25 and 30 pounds. So with that in mind, that's like 50 extra pounds. And you have to ask yourself, do I want to wear an extra 50 pounds of armor that could probably save my life? Or go into a fight with a ogre, not wearing the armor and then be turned into a splat on the wall? I'm going with the armor. Now, as I mentioned before, the chainmail would cover my joints and stuff. This is why I mentioned that. Full plate armor, the premise of European full plate is to protect your entire body, basically make you into a walking tank. But you can't have full plate all over your body. You have to be able to move. So wherever there is joints that can't, like for the hand, with the hand, for example, you can make riveted joints. You can rivet little pieces of metal together for the wrist and the hand. So that's not a big issue. But on the inside of the elbow and especially on the armpits, these were big areas for thrusts and attacks because they were vulnerable. And even the neck area on some suits of armor were vulnerable. How do you get around this? You wear the chainmail underneath it, boy. You wear all that good chainmail. Okay? You get that good chainmail up in there, be all nice and protected. Because if you wear chainmail, you're not going to be able to get stuck. You're not going to be stuck like a pig in a Hawaiian luau. Okay? So that's why I would... And the gambeson underneath. And if you put gambeson underneath that chainmail, which was another historical thing that they did, historically it went gambeson, chainmail, full plate. So with the gambeson underneath that, not only does the opponent's sword have to get through armor that even hypodermic needles have a hard time getting through, but it's also going to have to get through it's also going to have to get through about a half inch of tightly knitted together cloth that is also crisscrossed in all forms of patterns to make it even harder to get through. Medieval knights wore this shit for a reason, people. It's not like going to Starbucks and ordering a half-fat mocha latte, whatever, that no one can pronounce. I literally think sometimes I could go into Starbucks and say, bluka blaka bliki bluka blaka, and they give me a damn coffee. And I was like, damn, what is this world coming to? It's not like the hoverboards. It's like, you have feet and legs for a reason, people. Get off your lazy asses and walk. It's like, we are not robots. My very poor robot dancing skills. But I've gotten off on a tangent here. Okay, so with that in mind, we have our armor. It's like gambeson, chainmail, full plate. Now, what were the weapons I used to fight the troll? And I know this is already stretching on to like 12 minutes, but if you're at this point, then oger. But if you're at this point, then you actually give a damn and want to know what I'm talking about. And in any case, like, I should mention, I said that you guys give a damn about what I'm talking about. If that's not clear, I have a hard time relaying my messages. But what I'm saying is, what weapons would I choose? And a lot of you are probably going to say I'm batshit crazy here. I'm going to choose a sword. And it's like, I can immediately hear you guys now. It's like, Outlaw Samurai, you cannot do that. The thing's freaking 20 feet tall. Bring a howitzer cannon. I was like, first, howitzers didn't exist in the Middle Ages. And second, it actually is a lot smarter to use a sword against these things than you might think. Okay? Especially if you know how to do it. Which I do. So sit back, relax, and at this point, open up another bag of Doritos in case you've already eaten through your first ones. Because we're going to go back to talking about trolls in a moment. I need beer in that. But in any case, with that in mind, the weapon I would choose is my sword, the Crit Mesher. I'm going all measure up in his face. I'll measure up his face real good. Get it? Measure up his face. It's funny because the word measure means knife. And basically I'm saying I'll stab him in the face. So, yeah, I had to explain the joke for future references. But in any case, with that in mind, you have your weapons. Now for the tactics. And you're probably wondering, well, what the hell is this damn fool gonna do when he's fighting a troll and then he gets his ass hit by a big ass club? Yeah, that's what you gotta do. You gotta do outsmart. You gotta use your smart. You gotta use your smarticles. Use the smarties, okay? Use the Force, Luke. It's like, yes, Obi-Wan. Wah! I'm swinging a laser sword that can cut through anything. I cut my leg off, damn it. I should probably stop swinging this thing around. I'm cut my other leg off. Why am I still swinging this thing? Yeah, there goes my arm. It's like, I'm bad at this. Return of the Jedi. No, wait. Force Awakens. The Last Jedi. Whatever movie came after The Force Awakens, I forget its name, but Rey, swordsmanship, sucks. It's not even lightsaber fighting. It's just, I'm waving around a giant laser sword stick. It's like, whoever choreographed the fight scenes for that movie, come here. I'm gonna slap you with the flat of this thing. They're like, just come here. I'm gonna slap you. But off my tangent. I feel like this video would be like 10 minutes shorter if I didn't get on a huge tangent. But in any case, how would I fight the ogre? Alright. So, with that in mind, I got my gambits in my chainmail, my full plate, and I got my sword. How am I fighting this ogre? Alright? Very simple. First off, I make my way to the ogre's den. Da-de-da-de-da. And then I get the ogre's attention by throwing in a torch or some form of flaming implement to get his attention. The thing comes rushing out, and the battle ensues. Now, already immediately we know that I'm at a disadvantage here. This thing's like 20 feet tall, weighing in excess of 10 tons. He has this big-ass tree club thing that he's swinging around. And I only got, compared to his weapon, a little metal toothpick. It's like, how do I defeat him? It's like, this is where his superior intelligence comes into play. Ogres in a lot of fantasies settings are stupid, okay? They are literally the stupidest thing you could come across. All brute strength, animal instincts, and just smashing you. I think the level of their intelligence is equivalent to big stick, make good smashy thing. So with that in mind, as this thing's lummoxing around me, swinging his club, I'm taking advantages of the advantages that I have. Where this thing's lowest radius of swing, where it's like he goes from up here, swings down, and swings back up, is probably around 10 feet off the ground. I'm 6 foot tall, so that gives me about 4 feet of clearance if the big dude doesn't hunch his back over. Which means I can just run up under his swing, or as he's swinging his club back, while he's overswung his club, I can run up, and this is what I do. A lot of fantasy games you see, they just slash the ogre in half. Well, that's more anime, or it's like in like fantasy movies, they slash off the arm and then they go for the neck. No, in real life, that would get you killed. You're dead. You're not going to be able to do that. In real life, there is very few, if no sword that can slash off an arm the thickness of a tree limb. Now, if this was like some sort of honking 12-foot long sword blade, then yeah, maybe. That's like an inch thick. If it was like the Dragon Slayer or the Buster Sword, like if it was the Dragon Slayer from Berserk or the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy, yeah, I could see that. But I got me a crit mesher here. A two-handed, I want to say a two-handed European katana for some reason. But in any case, the crit mesher is curved like a katana, except the crit mesher is wider, tapers, has a disc-field taper, thins towards the tip, and is wider than a katana blade. But in any case, I got my crit mesher with me. how am I going to cut this dude into pieces? Well, there's really only one way to do it. And you got to take him down level by level. Alright, so I got my sword handy. And the way I do it is, I avoid his club, and then I slash at his legs. Now, some of the most crucial tendons and ligaments in the human body are in the legs. So, I'll slash at his legs, and then once his legs are down, more specifically, I'll be slashing towards the Achilles tendon of the heel. You cut that, and that thing ain't getting back. That thing ain't walking or doing anything on that foot ever again. And when he comes crashing down, just because at this point you can be that asshole, I'd slash at his other. I'd imagine there's like an 8. There's like between his knee and the ground. There's like 8 feet. So I guess what you could do is you could run underneath his leg, the leg he's currently kneeling on, and slash out his other tendon. Now with both his tendons gone, this thing's nothing more than a beached whale, okay? To which then after you've slashed both of the tendons, you can just walk up on his back and thrust your sword into the back of his head, killing him. Everyone makes killing these creatures so damn complicated and impressive. But if you have the skill and you have the knowledge, you'll be able to do it. Now, looking back on this, I'm probably going to make another video on the same topic, talking about the same stuff, but shorter. So if you don't want to watch this long one, you can watch the shorter one when I make it. So, until next time, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe when using your weapons, and I'm out. Peace, like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff, okay? Bye.